Senator Van Hollen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank all of you for your testimony, and I'll get to it, but I also want to raise some of the questions that Senator Kennedy raised. Ms. Norris, thank you for pointing out that seniors and low-income individuals are especially vulnerable here, and suggesting some proposals to address that, including, as we've discussed, mitigation and resilience. And I think you as well, Mr. Heller, have talked about that. But I think there's agreement here that the headline from the Washington Post just a few days ago sums up the problem. And the headline was, "Home insurers cut natural disasters from policies as climate risks grow." And then the first sentence is, "Some of the largest U.S. insurance companies say extreme weather has led them to end certain coverages, exclude natural disaster protections, and raise premiums." Everybody, all three of you, as I listen to your testimony, agree with that that's a problem.
Absolutely.
Okay. I understand, Mr. Theodoro, that you indicated that the price caps placed in California have exacerbated the problem. And clearly, there's some price point at which, insurance companies has to raise its premiums to cover the costs of damage. And if someone caps the price lower than that, they will exit the market. That's your point, right?
That's right. It's capped at 7%. That's another provision of Prop 103.
So if you remove the cap, and I understand your argument, you have to choose really between them exiting the market or raising the premiums, right? So
that's right.
The alternative is to increase premiums on homeowners, including many low-income homeowners, right?
That's right. And also to encourage not building and living in the wildland-urban interface, where it hasn't been mentioned, but there was a 39% increase in people building in the forests of California where they're exposed to the wildfires. Yeah. And Fort Myers in Florida has attracted, it's the 6th largest place for people to move to. It's got a lot. So it should have land use policy. Build smart. Don't build in areas where you're going to get hit.
Right. And as I listened to, I was listening to your all responses to Senator Kennedy's questions as to the answer, and a lot of the proposals, Mr. Heller, Ms. Norris, involve some form of government subsidy, whether for resilience or I think, Mr. Heller, you've also proposed a TRIA-like approach or an NFIP type approach. Is that correct?
Well, yes, except I wouldn't say an NFIP approach. I would say the NFIP could be converted to a backstop, a reinsurance backstop. But if I could just quickly correct Mr. Theodoro, there are no price caps in California. That is just a falsehood that has been stated as a way to kind of create a fake boogeyman. Over the last 2 years, the average premium increase for homeowners insurance, unfortunately, the rate increases, has been 12.5%. He said 7%. There is no rate cap. It's just that the companies have to justify their rates to be accountable. That's a good consumer protection. So anyway, I wanted to correct that. But
okay.
Yeah.
So look, I'm all for collecting the data. I joined Senator Warren on her letter to collect the data. But as I listen to this, we all know we have a problem because we have climate change. It's increasing the extremity of the intensity and frequency of natural disasters. That obviously has a cost. And so the question, in my view, is who's actually going to pay the cost, right? And in my view, we should look to those who have actually generated the reasons for the damage here. I don't think taxpayers should have to pay for this. The market failure here is actually to price the cost of carbon emissions into the atmosphere that is heating up the atmosphere and causing these natural disasters. So I would just submit that rather than ask Mr. and Mrs. Taxpayer to have to be the ones who come forward, we adopt a proposal, which I've put forward and going to continue to pursue, to create what I call a polluter pays fund, and ask the biggest emitters of greenhouse gases to help cover the costs of some of this, whether it's through a TRIA assist type system or some other system. What would you all think? That's a market-based solution. That deals with the externality that's not currently captured. If I could just get a response from each of you on that idea.
Well, Senator Van Hollen, of course, Consumer Federation of America would be supportive of that. We do, but let me just make a slightly nuanced point about that. The insurance companies, of course, continue to underwrite a lot of the fossil fuel producers in the country, and they use the investments, our premium dollars to invest in those fossil fuels and make a good return on it. And then, as they profit off of the these factors that drive climate change, they downstream the external costs to the homeowners and business and property owners and nonprofits that have homes through our insurance premiums. So they make the profit on climate change on the front end with their investments, and then they downstream the costs of it to consumers in our premiums and our reduced coverage. So I think it's even more than that, but I would absolutely support there being a private sector source to cover these costs, so it doesn't just get flows down into individual families.
Well, yes, a private sector source based on those who
Responsibility, right, the responsibility
damages.
That's right.
Senator, I think it's a great idea. I guess I would also say that climate change, which has been coming and is now here, and we're all seeing it exacerbate. If we had started maybe a single solution 10 years ago, maybe we could have mitigated some of the issues that are here today. We need this and more issues, more solutions. So I would support that solution along with many of the other ones that have been brought to the table today. We have to act in many, many ways in order to fix what's currently here right now.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think the intention is noble, but it may miss the target because the largest emitters, the largest fossil fuel companies, drilling, exploring, refining, are outside of the ordinary property casualty insurance marketplace. They have captives. The largest oil and gas companies have got their own captives, their own inside insurance companies, which would be could be beyond the pale of regulators because they're not regulated the same way.
Right. Just to be clear, we would be essentially capturing the funds, fees based on those who are polluted, and they would have to defray the costs. It's a market-based solution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Hollen. Senator Brett